Well, it's a fitting one. It's the wizard, Nick Watson. 3 goals today in this 85-point victory.
Look at him.
Geez, impressive.
There he is again.
Bit of centre square action. You're calling for that, Kingy.
I think he takes the match up against the Kangas personally. They chose Dersmer in front of him, and I think he says, well, I'm going to show you what you got wrong today.
Good theory, and that he did. Hawthorn, they did an absolute number on North Melbourne in Tassie this afternoon in Launceston. The Hawks had 86 points on the board at half-time. They ended up with 150 on the board in an 85-point win. The Hawks up to 4th spot on the ladder, but Adelaide still to play tomorrow, of course. Anyone see this one coming, 85 points?
No, not 85 points. I thought they were through this sort of patch.
Yeah, well, you did if you watched them last year. They belted them by 124. Hawthorn, so North's the Hawks bunnies a little bit at the moment, which would make it hard for Alistair Clarkson, clearly given the history with the Hawthorn Footy Club. He'd love to get a win over them, but they destroyed him. And these are the frequent lapses for North that frustrate the fan base.
We'll get to North shortly. Obviously, a massive result, a bad result in the lead-up to this centenary match on Thursday night, prime time football. But let's celebrate the Hawks, and I want to ask you, Jack, about Jack Gunston, because he had a career-high 7 goals today. And, gee, he's not slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah,
he's still got a fair bit of footy in him.
Yeah, he said in the post-game as well that he's still pretty competitive with Luke Roos as well, both sitting on 6 as a career high coming into this. And maybe the comment was made at three-quarter time that he needed to get one more to get to 7 and get to the career high number that we saw. And I love the fact that he's reinvented himself. Went from Hawthorn to Brisbane, and I nearly think people thought he was done then when he came back to Hawthorn and was played as sub and has sort of been in and out as a bit of a mentor in terms of being on and off the ground. But what he's doing now, this is vintage Gunston. An elite set shot at goal and one of the best lead-up forwards in the competition. He puts himself in the right place at the right time, and as Hawthorn evolve and their midfield starts to get back to where we saw last year, he'll constantly reap the rewards of what is good kicking inside forward 50.
It would be some story if he won a flag 10 years after his last one.
Wouldn't it? Sam Mitchell's clearly loving his work. He was asked about Jack Gunston and the value he's bringing in the twilight of his career.
In the last part of the game, when he was on 6, and everyone was very well versed that he hadn't ever kicked 7 before, they were pretty happy for him when he did finally get there. But I think he's played in a manner that is, very coach-like. He knows exactly what everyone needs to do and where they need to go, and he's helping the other players all around him. And I'm really, he's getting the reward from all of the selfless work that he's done over the last couple of years.
It's been a superb effort, considering particularly how they trade to Brisbane and back in that time. Mitch Lewis also made his return to the VFL, kicked a couple of snags for the Box Hill Hawks, so he'll take some time. He might need a month in the VFL at least to build that form and fitness up, but then another option for the forward line, Jack, and you said you see where he fits in quite clearly.
I think he takes Max Ramsden's spot if he comes back in, but Mabior Chol, he's been fantastic, leading goal kicker at Hawthorn last year, kicks 5 and goes equal best in his career, so starting to develop some good rapport between their key forwards, and obviously we think Mitch Lewis could be a great asset to that forward line as well.
As for North Melbourne, so their heaviest loss prior to today this season was 82 points back in round 6 against Carlton. They've had a really promising fortnight in WA, and then they come back and dish this up. As you've said numerous times, Kingy, you just thought they were past this?
Yeah, it's a really tough one to work out. How much are they improving? And I feel like some weeks, yep, that looks really good. Their midfield strength is their asset. And there are weeks where you just don't see it. And they'll belted again in clearances today, -14 to the Hawks, which turned into the inside 50 domination. And because they want to be an assertive, aggressive defence, when they come out of stoppage so easily, you're in trouble straight away. 86 points at half-time. That's the worst first half they've had for over a decade. So this is a real problem. 2003 was the last time they conceded more than 86 points in a half of football. So there'll be genuine concerns, I think, for the style of defence that Alistair's playing.
And there was a story in that shot in the rooms. You see Luke McDonald with his shoulder in a sling there, so that doesn't look good at all. There was a heavy bump, I think, in the third quarter that he copped, so that'll be sore for him throughout the week. He'll be a test for that Thursday night game, the big 100-year celebration.
But to concede 150 points today,
yeah, 86 in the first half.
Huge number.
Big number.
And especially when Nick Larkey fires as well and kicks 5. And so you've kicked 9 goals and 5 have come from Larkey. So just they wouldn't want to have many more of these or any more of these in the back part of the season, because the bit of work we saw prior to this, I had them winning 3-4 games in the back part of this season. So they may potentially still do it, but this is disappointing.
But what do you need to see, and what do they need to do defensively? Because 150 points is just unacceptable.
Well, let's have a look at the uncontested possessions that the Hawks get out the back. I mean, this assertive defence, you can see the Kangaroo players in front of the Hawks. They've really got no idea where they're leading. They're constantly outnumbered. So the pressure's just not on the ball. They bring it back in, and all of a sudden they're just, look at this, numbers ahead of the ball, outnumbered again. I don't know what role Caleb Daniel's playing in the team at the moment. I really don't. He's not really offering a lot defensively, or zero defensively, and not a lot offensively. So this is the contest that's critical. You win this one. It's effectively a 2-on-2, and he turns and goes, and look out the back straight away. That's what we're talking about with that assertive defence. So at half-time, Hawthorn have 27 uncontested possessions in the forward 50. That's the worst under Alistair Clarkson, and they've only had 2 poorer defensive 50 efforts in the last 10 years. Wow. So something has to change, something has to give. I don't think they can continue with this assertive defence. They're just not good enough with their pressure game to be hand in glove and defend across the ground. So if they defend like this on Thursday night, the 100-year celebration will be a 100-point loss. It has to get significantly better in a real hurry.
And they are chasing key or defensive talent. They tried for Sam Collins for Gold Coast. They tried for Braden Maynard. So they are looking to bolster that part of the ground.
These are the kind of performances where it's really hard to put a positive spin on it in the post-match press conference. So let's take a listen to what Alistair Clarkson had to say.
They just look to be covering the ground a hell of a lot better. They've come off a bye, and we've come off a pretty strong campaign. We were away for a couple of weeks and then had the Carlton game last week at the G. So they just look to be covering the ground a hell of a lot better, and so we don't want to dig too deep into it and be too forensic on it. We look at the block of work that's been done over the last 6 or 8 weeks, and think that we're making some progress. But they came up against a good side today that played some pretty good footy.
So they don't want to dig too deep forensically, and I think that would be the wrong approach. I think you have to do that.
You've got to understand the why.
Yeah, and the why is the defensive positioning at the moment.
It's also a defensive effort. Like, you go through the tackles, like Luke Parker's had 1, Caleb Daniels had none, Zach Fisher's had none. Like, that's the fundamental of whether you've been in Perth for 2 weeks, where you played Carlton last week at the G's, to turn up and still put the pressure on, so that you don't have Toby Pink in no man's land behind the ball going, oh, well, I'm told to stand here, but at the moment it's coming down pretty easy, and then I'm getting beat out the back.
How many times did Jared Healy say in commentary, back shoulder,
back
shoulder? The other worrying concern, the really worrying concern, is George Wardlaw. What's the story?
Yeah, certainly. So another concussion for him. I think that's his 3rd in 2 years. You can see there, just ploughed straight into Connor Nash. So the concussion history, as we know, is a worry. The Docs took absolutely no chances and subbed him out for the game. So he won't be playing next week. He enters concussion protocols. He looks shattered here. This is a man who... extreme disappointment considering the concussion history, the games he's missed, the hamstring as well over the past couple of years. So it's interesting. I mean, you can't really change his game, can you, Kingy? Like, Wardlaw is bull at a gate. That's what he's going to do for the next 10 years, hopefully. Can you be more sort of aware or, careful, cautious? Can he put his own personal safety more at the forefront, or is it just instinct in those?
I think so. I mean, you can't change Joel Selwood, right?
Yeah.
They are what they are, and that's why they're top-line players, or potentially they're top-line picks that you hope become top-line players. I worry that that's 3 already. He's still a very young man.
21. How
many more before you really start to get concerned that his career comes into question? That would be the overarching concern right now. You've got to modify his training straight away. You can't have him having any sort of effects from head trauma at training.
Hold
can't do
back
a game
in the
day.
contest.
Well, you have to, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I think we're probably going to start to see more players be held back from the contact, because it's... Well, you play for 2 hours and you train for maybe 12 a week, so there are 6 times more chance of having a head contact at training. So that one there that's got nothing to do with George Wardlaw being the tough beast that we know he is. That's unlucky, that head clash there, or the clash with Connor Nash. So 21, 3 concussions. It's that's scary for me.
Yeah, extremely worrying for him, his family, his friends. Yep, for sure.